Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic and a puzzle about perfect numbers today. Yeah, looking forward to having a go at this. I will say that if you're struggling to start the puzzle at some point because of not knowing the perfect numbers, do feel free to just jump forward to where I say let's get cracking. And the first thing I will tell you after that is what perfect numbers you need to know. Yes, anyway, this is great. I'm going to have a go at this puzzle called Nobody's Perfect by Lithium Ion. I love these puzzles that have nothing in the grid, just a few cages, clearly not enough of them to do anything useful, and yet there is a rule set that allows this to work, and I'm really looking forward to giving it a go. Lithium Ion is a really good constructor, so this will be fun. With the knowledge about perfect numbers, and I'll get on to that. Now, first of all, don't forget that we've got the Patreon reward, Caroline's Halloween Adventure. That is our October Patreon reward. Competition until the 20th only, but as Fool on the Hill pointed out lately, the resource of our puzzles in the various Sudoku packs that have formed the Patreon rewards is a massive collection of puzzles that are just a perk of being even a $2 a month member of Patreon. Maybe we should be working out a way to archive the past ones, but we haven't. They're all there. You can check them all. And there is some wonderful stuff. If you want to practice your Japanese sums, or you're just infused by Japanese sums, there are other packs by the PBN Institute in the past. Panthera has curated them all, and they're fantastic. So loads of stuff on Patreon. That's just the Sudoku. There's also crosswords and connections and loads of other things. It's just the best puzzle club in the world by a long, long way. And thank you to those people who support the channel and help us keep going by being Patreons. It's much appreciated. Thank you also to anybody who's bought an app from Cracking the Cryptic. We have Killer Sudoku, amongst others. And many others, and they are all very good value as well, and they're on the links under the video. I mean, the best constructors in the world have contributed. That's all I need to say. Aside from those things, there's Sven SUDOKU PAD merchandise, and just loads going on around the channel all the time. But let's do the rules. Let's do the rules of Nobody's Perfect. So, normal Sudoku rules apply. That's going to be 1 to 9 in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Orthogonally adjacent digits are not allowed to contain, orthogonally adjacent cells rather, are not allowed to contain consecutive digits. Now, that is the non-consecutive rule. It is very powerful, but not normally at the start of solving a puzzle, but especially at the end. So these two cells couldn't contain a 1 and a 2 or a 7 and an 8. Indeed, if you were to put 8 there, you couldn't put 7 or 9 in any of those cells, and you begin to glimpse how powerful this can be. Now, digits within a killer cage do not repeat and sum to a perfect number, and that is actually the end of the rules. The rest of the rules is an explanation of what a perfect number is. It is a mathematical term for a number that equals the sum of its proper divisors. And those proper divisors are every factor excluding every integer factor, i.e. divisor, excluding the number itself. So 20 is not a perfect number, since the sum of the proper divisors is 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 5 plus 10, which equals 22, which is not the same as the number itself, because that's 20. And Lithium Ion has provided a hint that there are only 2 perfect numbers that are less than 45. Interesting. So do give it a try if you fancy it yourself. I am going to start now. Let's get cracking. And as promised, the thing I'm going to start with is by telling you those 2 perfect numbers. Now, I know what they are because I have done the listener crossword for 35 years. That's not true. Yes, it is true. For about 35 years. And perfect numbers come up in that once every 3 or 4 years. And in magpie puzzles about at the same frequency. So I have come across the low perfect numbers many times, enough to have memorized them. I guess the point of this puzzle is to work them out, since lithium ion hasn't told you what they are. He's told us there are only 2 low ones. But the first one's quite easy to find. It's 6, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3. They are the only factors of 6, and they add up to 6 as well. Fine. The next one, I'm just going to tell you, it's 28. I know that the factors you can add up are 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 7 plus 14, and that makes 28. But I wouldn't care to be doing the maths of checking every number under 45 for myself. And that does seem to be the point. You can easily Google perfect numbers and you'll find them immediately. You will also find the third perfect number, which I haven't memorized, but I know that it is 3 digits. And I think it's over 200. So they are not commonplace. I think there is no theoretical upper boundary to them. And I'm not sure if somebody's done the work to sort of work out that all the perfect numbers have been found. I rather remember that they haven't. So as we go up towards infinity, there might be more. Anyway, nobody is perfect, lithium ion. I agree with that. But I do know that the perfect numbers that we're going to use in this puzzle are 6 and 28. And now, 2 minutes in, I'm going to actually get on with the puzzle. Because a 28 sum is not possible in a lot of these cages. 28 is going to require 4 different Sudoku digits. Indeed, we know the value of every single cage in this puzzle, because as soon as we go over 2 digits, the next cage up is 5. So let's colour these, yellow, and these blue. The blue ones all have a value of 6. And the yellow ones have a value of 28. Now, the single cell cages, they're easy, they're 6s. The 2 cell cages are either a 2-4 or a 1-5 pair. I'm going to write those digits in as central marks. Now, let's not forget the non-consecutive rule, which says that this cannot be a 5. So that can't be a 1. The non-consecutive rule is also going to operate over these 2x2 areas, where 5 is in a different cage from 4 but cannot be next to it. So 5 and 4 are going to form a little diagonal, and 1 and 2 are going to form the other diagonal in these 2x2 areas. But I don't know how we use that yet. That's probably for later. So we're going to have to move on to considering the 28 cages. Okay, let's do column 9. Now, the reason that 45 got mentioned in the rule set is because 45 is a sort of magic number, and I'll tell you a secret now. Every row, column, and box in a Sudoku adds up to 45. We know that because that's the sum of the digits from 1 to 9, and the rules are that those populate every row, column, and box. So in this column that I've highlighted, the column adds up to 45. The yellows add up to 28 and the blue to 6. So these two add up to 11, and they therefore are a 3-8 pair. That's all that's left that makes 11. So that's a 7-9 pair. And 7 can't be next to 6 by the non-consecutive rule. We're going to use the non-consecutive rule a lot. That's a strong prediction, but I'm absolutely certain it's true. So we've got some digits in the puzzle. Hurrah! Now, this column adds up to 45, and the yellow cells here add up to 56. That's 28 times 2. So these 2 yellow cells left over add up to 11, and I don't know what make them up, but they do add up to 11. This cage adds up to 28. So these cells add up to 17. Now, let's try adding that to 22 here. That makes 39. That's not that helpful. That means that cell is 6 less than the total of those. That wasn't what I was going for there. What can we do instead? We can compare this box, which adds... Oh, sorry about the mail alerts noise, that should have been gone. This box adds up to 45. Yeah, and we know the total of this area, which is 28 plus 6 plus 6. That's 36. It's not. Thank goodness it's not 36, because that wouldn't have worked. It's bad maths. It's 40. So if the total of that area is 40, but box 1 is 45, the difference between those two cells is 5 in favour of this cell, which is 5 bigger than this. Which isn't that helpful. This is 1, 2, 3, or 4. That is 6, 7, 8, or 9. How are we going to get going here? In this box, right, we've got 3, 7, 8, and 9 left to populate the box. Now, where does 8 go? It doesn't go there or there, because 8 can't sit next to 7 or 9. Imagine this as a little tetromino. You can't put 8 in the middle cells, because it will end up, it can only have 3 as a neighbour once then, and 3 is the only neighbour allowed to 8 in this tetromino. So 8 must be on one of the ends, and 3 next to it. So that lets us reduce the tetromino down like that. 6 can't be next to 7. Now, if that was 3, this couldn't be 2 or 4 and would have to be 5. And then we'd really have a jump. I don't think we get that, though. So now I know 6 is in one of those cells in box 2, and therefore in the killer cage. Now, these aren't relic cages. It can't be next to 7 and 5, but they could appear in the cage. At least 2 of 6, 7, and 9 will be in it, because only that cell is available to be 6, 7, or 9, and not in the cage. If this cage adds up to 28, these add up to 17. Okay, they must include an 8. Now, the reason I know that is because if these were selected from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Yeah, I mean, no, okay, these cells, I'm wrong, I'm not quite right here. What I was going to suggest is that if all of these cells were selected from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be an 8. I don't know quite what I was suggesting. My brain has gone off on one there. Let me try and get it back under control and do something useful in the puzzle. I don't know what. There's not many places to attack this. Right. One of these is a 3. If that was the 2, 4 cage, the 3 would be next to either 2 or 4. So that's impossible. So that's the 1, 5 cage. This is the 2, 4 cage. I mean, I suppose that means neither of these digits can be 3. I'm not sure it does much else, but that was interesting. We've also got a 1, 2, 4, 5 quad in this row that I saw early on and completely forgot about after that. And those 2 digits in this box are in the 28 cage. They're quite little. They can't be 5 and 4 because they would be next to each other. So the maximum those 2 can add up to is 7 if they were 5 and 2. Yes, these are either. Yes, I said this earlier, that 5 and 4 are diagonally opposite, 1 and 2 are diagonally opposite. So that pair of cells are either 5, 2 or 4, 1. There's a 3 difference between them, but the difference is, there is a difference there. They add up to either 7 or 5. And those 7 or 5 go into these cells in row 1. You can see that from the pencil marking. So if you put 5 into this 28 cage, the other 3 digits in the cage would be 9, 8, 6. So you'd have a cage of 9, 8, 6, 4, 1. you'd have to put 7 here and 2, 5, 3 here and 8 here, which would be very constrained. And in fact, that 2, 3, 5 would have to have a 5 in the middle there, separating the 2 and the 3, because otherwise they'd be consecutive. Now, if this was 4, no, that was if this was 4, 1. If this was 5, 2, this cage would contain those, and they add up to 7. It has a 6 already, so that's 13. The other 2 digits would have to add up to 15 and would be 8, 7. The cage would contain 8, 7, 6, 5, 2. That would be a 9. And this would be 1, 3, 4. And again, the middle digit would have to be a chaperone. It would have to be a 1 surrounded by 3 and 4. Now, I'm trying to relate those together in column 4. This is either a 3, 4 pair, or what was the other one? It was a 5 separating a 2, 3 pair. So there's definitely a 3 there. Now we do have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quintuple, and that's definitely an 8. And this cell can't be 7, 8, or 9, and is 3 or 6. This is getting strange somehow. There is a 3 in one of those. I think I may have done something. No, there is a 3 in one of them. That is right. This was either 1, 3, 4 or 2, 3, 5. So there's no 3 in this cage. Oh, I thought I was going to know where the 3 in this row was, but I don't. If that was a 9, this goes 8, 3. 9, 8, 3. That would be 2 or 4. This would have to be a 1, 5 cage. So, hang on. If that was a 9, 8, 3, 6, 1, 5. Oh, and then 2, 4, and 7 to place. I can't quite work that one out here. Now, these aren't allowed to be, that's not allowed to be consecutive with that, so it's not an 8. And that are not allowed to be consecutive. That's quite interesting, isn't it? It's nearly interesting. And this is the other place for 6. So if that was a 7, this would have to be 6. That would be 3. That would be 9. If that's a 9, it's not so difficult in the row, but that really causes trouble in the column. 8, 3. So this is never a 7 down here, because either that's already a 7, or if that's a 9, that's an 8, and this can't be 7. I wonder if I'm missing something quite major. Probably am, but I'm going to have to wait till I see it. Now we got an 8 there. That means that's not 8, which means that's not 3, because there was a difference of 5 between those two. Oh, we've got these two are going to add up to 11. Oh, but this itself is adding up to 28. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's useful. 1, 2, 4, 5, 8. These are from 3, 6, 7, 9. Now, what can't touch in this cage? 6 and 7 can't go together. So if they were both in the cage, that would be a chaperone, a 3 or a 9. Oh, we're nearly there. Come on, Mark. Think it through. Oh, if that was a 5, this couldn't be 6. Right. If that was a 5, this is the situation where... I don't know. Okay, these two add up to 11, and I've got that narrowed down a bit. 8, 5, 4, 2 are the complements here. That's not useful. They're not allowed to be consecutive. They're not allowed to be consecutive. Something here is going to just pop wide open. If that was a 2-4 pair, that would have to be 3. You would then have a consecutiveness there. Is a consecutivity? I don't know. Anyway, that is now a 1-5 cage. 6, 1, 5. 7 and 9 in this row are definitely in those cells. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to narrow this down now. In this row, 7 and 9 are in those cells. So this cell can't be 7 or 9. It also can't be 6, 1 or 5. That leaves 2, 3, 4 and 8, but it can't be 8 because of consecutiveness with that. So that is 2, 3 or 4, and that is a triple. Also, that is 3 in this row is in one of those cells. Ah, yeah, okay, so that is 2 or 4, which is a pair now. I thought that was going to be great. It was going to tell me which of the possible pairs here go in there, but it doesn't, because the possible pairs here were 2, 5 or 1, 4. Oh, we're so close here. There's something going on all around here somewhere. Can you spot it? 7 and 9 are in that group, and in that group, and in that group. Do we have roping? Maybe, but maybe not. I don't want to use that particularly. That can't be 6 because it would be next to 7. Something's going on. 2, 3, 4 triple and 9, 7 appearing there. These are from 1, 5, 6, 8. They're not allowed to be a 5, 6 pair. So if that was a 1 separating 3 and 4, 6, 5 would be in this cage. Oh, that being a 1 or 5 makes this a 2, 4 pair. Didn't see that. And this is now a 1 or a 5. I don't think that's doing anything. Well, yes, it's taking 1 or 5 out of that cell, which is now 6 or 8. And now this one can't be 7. This is getting bonkers now. 2, 3 and 4 have to fit in there with no consecutives. This is 1 or 5. In this box there are only 2 places for 1 or 5. So that's not the 6. Now, this can't be a 9 because that would be 8 in the box. So that's a 6, 8 pair, and this isn't 6. That's a 7, 9 pair. Now, this can't be 7, or it would be next to 6 or 8. Wow, there we go. 9, 7. This can't be 8. That's 6. That's 8. This adds up to 23. So these two add up to 5. And they are 4 and 1. And this is 5, and that's a 2, 3 pair that I can't resolve. This is now a 1, 4 pair. That's a 2, 5 pair. This is now a 4, 1 pair that are resolved. That's a 5, 2 pair. I don't think we've broken the rule yet, which is exactly where we want to be. Now, come on, column 4. Do your thing. You are not doing your thing, like a naughty column. Okay, row 1, that's a 3. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight. Placing 3 in box 1. This is 6, 7, 9. 9 has to be the chaperone between 6 and 7. 9 is part of a pair that make 11, so we get a 2 down there. Now, we must be able to add up. Well, 6 or 7 minus 5 gives 1 or 2 there. And now this can't be 1. We jump into box 5. That's a 5. But 9, 12, 20. These two add up to 8. I still seem to have two ways of doing that. 3 can't be next to 2. And these are still unresolved, and these are unresolved. That's peculiar. But I mean, this is a non-consecutive puzzle. We're going to be flying in a moment. All we have to remember to do, as far as the markings in the grid go, is make those add up to 8. Then these must fall out as the correct total. Those must already. There's nothing else to do apart from non-consecutive Sudoku now. And get our miracle Sudoku pack if you like non-consecutive Sudoku. That is the main rule in that. Now, 8, 3, 7, 9 is one way round. Oh, this can't be an 8. That's just Sudoku. I knew we could constrain. In fact, there's 9 in 3 of those cells. That's a 3, 7, 9 triple. So that's an 8. And that can't be 9 now. So they're finished. But, well, it doesn't finish the whole of box 8, but it finishes the non-caged digits. It also resolves these two. That digit is a 9. This is 3, 6, 8. 6 can't go next to 5. 8 can't go next to 9. Oh, but 3 can't go next to 2 or 4, so that's a 6. This group is 2, 4, 7, but neither 2 or 4 can go next to 3. 7 sorts out the 3, 8. This is still not resolved. Extraordinary. Okay, where do we look next? Probably down here. 2, 4, 7, 5, 3. This isn't allowed to be 6 or 8. This one is 3, 5, 6 or 9, but it's not 3 because of that. This one also is not allowed to be 3 for the same reason. Things are getting a little more out of control at this point down this column. Maybe we get resume some control here. No, not really. Can't be 8 by the rule. Now, I don't know. No, maybe that was the wrong place to look. It's difficult to branch this out. This sees all the odd digits, so it's even, but it's not 8 because of being next to 9. No, we're going to have to find somewhere that is more constrained. Maybe there is somewhere already done that is easy to move on to now. It's not impossible. We're going to have to think a big thought about what can be some. Now this is interesting. 2, 3, 7, 9 and 8 by Sudoku, 1 and 4 by the rule. So that's 5 or 6. The non-consecutive rule, of course, is what I'm talking about. Now this, oh, there's a 2 in the cage. So where's 2 in this column? It's that simple. Killer Sudoku. There it is. So that needs a 6. So that cage is done. And now this is a 5. And now there we go. 1, 4, 7, 9 to fill the cage. That's not allowed to be 1. That can't be 9. This isn't, neither of these are 7 by the rule. And that's not 4 by the rule as well. They didn't quite get resolved. In this bottom row, that's not 5. We've got 1, 4, 6, 8. That can't be 1. 1 is in one of these 3 cells and not in these. Not in that poor lowly stable. That can't be a 2 anymore. That is 4 or 6. Now, this one sees 3, 8, 6, 5, 2, 7. Nothing I can rule out by the rule. 1, 4 or 9. But we have to place a 3 in one of those cells, and we have to place a 2 in this box as well, and it can't touch the 3. So it's in one of those 2. Then there's a 2 in one of those. 3 in one of those, and these 3s and 2s are all obeying the rule, so they're forming diagonals somehow. What's that telling me? Oh, this is 1 or 4. That's all it can be by Sudoku, and this 4, 6 or 8. There is a 1 in one of those 2. That's not interesting, is it? Somewhere there's just some very obvious non-consecutive constraint. This one, 4, 6 or 8. And this, 7, 2, 4, 5, 3, 1, 6, 8, 9. The rule doesn't seem to be operating much here. Oh, come on, we must be finished now. Why am I not breaking through this? 1, 9, 5, 6, because it's lithium ion. There is the answer. One of those is a 5, so neither of them are touching a 6. So 6 is in one of those cells. No, it doesn't do anything. That is 4, 6 or 7. Again, it's just too much of a spread to really polish anything off. 8 in the bottom rows in one of those two. Now let's go back to box 6 where we did have, 7 also doesn't appear in that 5 cell group. I don't know what to make of that. I sort of do know what to make of it. Oh, yes, okay. The very fact that 3 and 2 are in a diagonal pair here means that the other part of the diagonal pair cannot be 1 or 4, or it would be 1 would be touching 2 and 3 would be touching 4. So 1 and 4 must be outside this 2 by 2 area. And therefore one of those is a 4, which I didn't specifically know before, but it means that's not a 4. It means one of these is a 4. Does that mean something special here too? I don't think so. But we got this down. One of these is an 8. So that's not a 9, because then it would be touching 8. So one of these is a 9, and that means this is not a 9. And now that's 5 or 6, and this can't be 5. I mean, it's weird how this keeps on knocking on. There's definitely an 8 there. It's probably something much more obvious, but I'm going to have to keep pursuing this because it's like a trail now. Now, by Sudoku, this is 2, 3, 4, 6 or 7, but it's next to 5 or 6. I don't think it can be 4 as well, because that would make that 6 and that 5, and 5 would be next to 4. Sorry, I hit a button badly there. Now, this is 2, 3 or 7. If it's 2 or 3, that is also 2 or 3. If it's 7, that makes that 4 and that 5. And there'd be, yes, if it's 7, there's nowhere for 6 in the box. So it's not 7. So that's 2 or 3. Now we know that they are on a little diagonal. And this one has to be 2. And that one is 3. There we go. This will get us done, I think. Although that doesn't actually give us a consecutive look into that cage. But it does sort out 2 and 4 there. That didn't resolve this. But 3 does resolve this one. That's 6. That's 5. 6, 5, 3, 2. We've got to put a 7 in. We've got to put an 8 in one of those cells. I assumed it would all be done as soon as we made any further progress. I may have assumed wrongly. We can't have a 5 in those now. 1, 8, 3, 6, 9. 9 mustn't be next to 8. And 8 is in one of those two, so that's not 9. That can't be 4, that's just happened by Sudoku. This one is quite constrained, 7 or 8, so that can't be 8. That'll do it, there we go. 4, 7, 8, that box is all done. Once you've got this many boxes done in this sort of puzzle, it does come apart, I promise. I have no right to promise that, but I just feel I'm right. 6 or 9, 4 or 6, that's a 5, that's a 7, this is 3. Don't know there, never mind about that. 4, 6 or 7 now. 6 and 7 can't be both there, so one of them's here. And that sorts out 9 and 4, which sorts out 4 there. 1, 9, 5, 2, 7, 4. 3, 8 and 6 to place. We'll be back with you guys in a moment. No, we won't. 3 is looking at that cell. 7 then sorts out the 3, 6, 8 diagonal. Now, along the bottom row, 4, 1, 6. That's not 6, and in fact it's 3, that's 8. 2 and 7 here by the rule. 5 and 9 here by nothing yet. So let's look across. 4 and 2, then the rule, 5 and 1, then 9 and 1, and finally 9 and 5. Lovely puzzle, lithium ion. Nobody's perfect, but that puzzle is close to it. Super stuff. Very clever. No need to conceal from people that 6 and 28 are perfect numbers. Maybe the 28th of June should be called Perfect Day. It's such a perfect day. I'm glad I spent it with you, like this puzzle. See you again tomorrow. Bye for now.